Hi, I'm Jay Jacobs, and welcome to another episode of Going Beyond the Scale. Today, I'm extremely excited because, you've heard the term third time's a charm. Well, today is the third time that I've had the opportunity to have a conversation with my good friend, Liz Josephsberg. And you probably know of Liz. She's very well known. She has been someone that was instrumental in Jennifer Hudson not only losing weight, but literally transforming her weight and maintaining that, and made a big effect on her family. She's worked with tons of people, tons of celebrities, extremely successful. I love her book. I love her book so much that I actually have two of them. I have the hardcover and the paperback. Let's just get to the point. Liz, come on and say hi.
Hi, how are you? I'm so happy to be here today.
I'm glad you're here, especially on what we call Weight Loss Wednesday, and weight as in WAIT, because I think, having been a big fan of your work, followed your work, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the classes and things that you've got going on, because you've been in this industry for a very long time, and you've never been somebody that's a fad. You're somebody that really has been committed to people not only losing weight, but maintaining their weight and living a lifestyle that really serves them versus slaying them. And so why I love you coming on today for Weight Loss Wednesday is that what we're going to talk about today is, as you know, you and I both have gone through this. We all have this mythical idea that I'm going to wait till Monday, or it's going to be next week, or after my birthday, or I'm going to wait till the new year. I'm going to wait till new job, whatever that is. There's this big waiting thing that happens. And I think one of the things that I love about, your work and what you do and the courses that you teach people about is you really give them what I believe is freedom to actually understand that that is a noise that's been in the background that's really been slowing them down. And so our commitment today, what you and I are going to talk about, is we're going to kind of dance back and forth on some things that we've found that will really help people just baby step and move forward and start to let some of that go in the way. So just jump right in. Let's talk about that a little bit from what you see.
No, I mean, I think it's huge. And for anyone who doesn't know me, I did lose 65 pounds and I'm keeping them off now almost 10 years. Before that, I lost 50 pounds. I lost 30 pounds over 5 times before that. Like weight loss, being in the industry, but then being someone like Jay, who's actually experienced the pain of carrying physical, emotional, mental pain of carrying weight, I think is so important to talk about. And it's where my perspective came from. I was like, yeah, I was that person. I was always like, oh, I'll start on Monday, or, oh, I messed it up, so let's, just, it's over now. And what's so funny that we're talking about this today is these tiny little fragments still exist in my thinking, even today.
Yeah.
And I had this happen to me this morning. I thought it'd be interesting just because when you illuminated this for me, I was leaving my kickboxing class and I was running. I usually run home, but instead, and I usually have a habit that I've created, right? Like, and I leave that and I put my gloves on and I put my earpods in and I do this. I've got this whole habit and I run all the way home. And I got a text which stopped me, and I started walking because I had to respond to it. And I started walking, and the teeny tiny fragment in my brain said, well, now you're going to walk home, aren't you? Because you're walking. You're just going to walk because you missed it. You stopped and now you walk. And I heard it. It's such a tiny leftover fragment of these negative messages that get us to stop our momentum, and we believe them. And I was like, no, I'm not. I can run halfway. I mean, what the heck is that message that you're sending me, brain? And I think understanding that the brain is, once there is a negative thought, we can see now in brain science that negativity releases cortisol, which is a hormone that actually creates more negative thought. So when I saw that negative thought pop up, it was for me to go in, catch the negative thought, and talk back to it. So it was such a baby step for me today, but it set the tone for the rest of my day, which was, I'm not going to listen to the negative. I'm going to combat it, and I can keep going, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that is the part that I think that a lot of people don't really realize, is that we are running a script in our head all the time. And the other day, I had a good friend of mine on, Brooke, who she lives in Iowa. She's a hypnotherapist, and a lot of people have think that hypnotherapy is very strange. But when I explain to people that for the most part, we're all in a trance. We really are in a trance, and what they know is science shows that 98 to 99% of what we're doing is subconscious. So what I love in the work that you do, Liz, is that you constantly keep bringing that forth like an exercise, a mental exercise, getting people to become aware of it. And it's like exercise. It's going to keep coming up. But like what you did this morning, you heard it, you interrupted it, and then you set a new course of action to take, which makes a major difference.
Yeah, and that's my what led to the writing of Target 100 was like, I am her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've been through the loop so many times, and I'm a smart person. Like, I'm successful in all these places. Why can't I get this? And I had been embedded in the diet world. I'd worked for Weight Watchers. I'd worked all around the world in weight loss. And I was like, this can't just be about a food plan, people. Like, this has got to be about something way deeper.
Right.
And finding out that we are, like you said, 98% subconscious, and then 50% habit. 50%
Right.
literally doing the same thing in the same way because we can't make those decisions over and over, just and needing to shunt some stuff to the back of our brain so that we can be as present as we can be for the rest of the day to make those decisions and be there and listen and engage as much as we can. But yeah, no, it's a brain game. Weight loss is a brain game. And I think that's when I talk to people like you and we connected so deeply, so quickly, because your weight loss and your weight maintenance over time, you said, this can't be about me like counting some points or eating off a food list. It's got to be about something deeper. And I don't mean deeper like, oh, you're emotionally broken or there's something tragic about you. Not at all. It's about understanding that the brain is not your friend. It's really not your friend. And once you understand that and leverage the brain for what it's good at and really shut it down in the spaces where it is repetitively sending negative thought loops and negative tapes that are leftovers that just feel good to the brain because they're normal. Oh, I'm always mean to myself. I always beat myself up. I always tell myself I'm not good enough. I always compare myself to others. I always look at myself as less than. That feels good to the brain because it's used to it. For you to say, like, I did a great job on that thing. Your brain's like, what? What? Seriously? You did a good job?
Yeah.
Now I actively tell myself I literally was like, oh, girl, you rock. I just started running after I told myself I couldn't run. Like, I go to, especially those baby steps that we're talking about, I'm like nice to myself about the smallest stuff now.
Liz, I think that's one of the biggest things I've noticed, because most of the people that I navigate and I work with are women. And finally, I feel that women are starting to take their power back. Jillian had said that on the ranch with us. She said, whatever you do in your life, don't surrender your power to anyone or anything. And what I've come to understand, it's been like 10 years since I was on Biggest Loser, that when I've worked with women, finally they're starting to realize it. And like what you said, it's not big stuff. Like for everyone, it's small stuff. And like somebody will say, oh, I only, it's like, no. Like if you don't honor the onlys, it ever works. And so I think that's what I love in any time I've heard you talk, anytime I've heard you coach, support people, you always constantly are reminding people, especially women, that no, you've done this, you own this, and it is the thread, the pathway that really is going to make a difference for their long-term sustainable way of living life well, not just losing weight, but living life well makes a big difference.
Yes, being happy, being generally happy. And I think, again, when you go to the brain and you look at it under an MRI and you look at the chemicals that get released and you look at what that small negative thing starts a cascade of hormones that are released that are, that actually grease the wheels for more negative thought. So when you understand that and you go, oh, okay, that's just a thought on top of it all. I just had a thought. It doesn't even mean it's true.
Right.
It's a thought. But I find this too, because a lot of the people that I coach are not just women, but highly successful women.
Right.
Right? Like really successful who are going, hey, Liz, why is it that I can do these big things in my life? And this one constantly gets me. And I talk to them about the habit loop around the negativity that they feel towards their bodies, towards their progress, and towards the scale, towards their exercise regimen, towards not doing enough all the time, towards them giving themselves away so much of the time. And it's really amazing when you see somebody catch on to the brain and how it is tricking us all the time and begin to work out what I call the Rubik's Cube, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I see. When I do celebrate something, when I do practice gratitude, because we know that practicing gratitude or celebrating yourself, even for a small win, actually releases serotonin. And so you actually start a positive hormone flush rather than the cortisol, which is a very negative hormone flush. So, and these are, once you learn that you can manipulate the way you feel and that you're not at the mercy of it, like I think people really think their thoughts are real around themselves and around their bodies, and they're not real. They're just habit loops of thoughts that you picked up at some point that have no basis in reality.
You know, one of the things I'd love you to talk about in the past few years, I've now, because one of the corporate clients that we have, I've had the unique opportunity to do like body composition consultations with like 500 millennials.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because most of them are really, they're in pretty good shape, okay, just in general, because they're younger and this particular group is not really, they haven't gone into the kind of the bad habit stage. And what was fascinating was when you're talking about cortisol. I'm not a scientist, I'm a layperson, but I got to see something that was fascinating. So they would go on a trip. So every month I'd be meeting with them. They get on the body composition scale. I do an analysis with them because you can have numbers, but you have to kind of understand what they mean over time.
Yes.
Not just one shot, like over time. How, because I tell people, everybody's body's different, everybody's metabolism is different. We need to find like crack the code for that. Now, what I found that would happen is they would go on a business trip or they would go on vacation and they would go away. They would drink more than they normally did. They would eat more than they normally did. They probably would move a little, they would relax, but they maybe were going to this nice place, whatever. Almost every one of them would come back scared to death that they gained like 10 pounds. Here's what was fascinating. I kid you not, 99% of the people either lost weight or they stayed exactly the same. They were in shock. And I said, look, all I know is I know cortisol, I understand it, but I said, I think what happened here is you actually relaxed and your stress hormones calmed down and somehow your body got fine. So I know you talk about that a lot. I only can tell you, I saw it happen with numbers and with people.
Yep.
But it's amazing. So talk about that a little bit because I think it's important.
No, I think you're really on to something. Like, and it's a huge pillar of my book, right? We look in my book not at just food and movement and exercise, and stress is a massive pillar of weight loss.
Big time, yeah.
And I always say, like, and I feel like I have 6 children, and like then I always play favorites. I'm like, no, the water pillar. Oh, it's so great because if you just do water, like, and I'm like, no, the stress pillar. I do think the stress pillar for me, if you don't begin to understand its connection to your weight and your eating, it will be the thing that makes you regain all your weight.
Yeah.
Because I've never met someone who didn't know, right, like that they should eat a salad over some fettuccine Alfredo, right? Like they know, but they can't in that moment. That's what we're seeing with COVID is massive spike in people's weight for many reasons. We're sitting all day and all the rest, but the stress that this put us under, I think, and the fear really made people hungrier. I mean, cortisol, it makes you hungrier. It makes you crave salt, sugar, and fat, and it makes you eat more, and it makes you feel negatively, and it does inflame the body, right? So stress really inflames the body, and that's why they connect stress with high blood pressure. Stress, right? So what is high blood pressure? It is inflammation, right? They connect stress with heart attacks and all the things that, so reducing your stress and understanding, and yes, you're exactly right. When people go away and they step away from their social media and they step away from their job and they step away from their mother-in-law, and they, you know what I mean? And they're in a beach and they're in beautiful nature, right? Nature has a huge connection to stress relief. They actually depuff, if you will. I call myself a puffer fish when I'm really stressed out. I can see it on my hands, like, because I am holding you. The body, when it is stressed, holds extra fluid in order to kind of protect you. So it's like, oh my gosh, we don't know when we're going to get the right fluids. We don't know when we're going to find food. We don't know. So in an effort to keep you safe, you get all of this inflammation when you're stressed out. So those chemicals and those hormones, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I've seen it happen for so many people, as they lose all this weight in a time where there's no stress, or where they can create some rhythm, and then something comes along like COVID, and they don't know how to manage the stress. They don't have a meditation practice or a stress relief practice or an exercise regimen, and they literally, everything that they've planned for and done just go out the window. I know you've seen it as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the one thing, the COVID, there was nothing positive about COVID, obviously. You know, over 500,000 people, like, and the devastation of so many things in people's lives continues on. The one thing that I will say that I think finally happened is, I do believe, and maybe it'll go away again, but I think for the first time ever, that there's a sense that to actually, it's not that you have to have a lean, thin, trim body beyond belief, but you do need to be able to understand that there is a cause and effect that happens when our bodies are out of whack. Now, and I will also say, there's people that are amazing athletes, and I saw a horrible story about a gentleman on Today's Show the other day, triathlete, and I mean, he has that long haul thing, like, it's just crazy. But if you actually look at so many of the people that really got taken down by it, the comorbidities, all of that. So I think if there's one thing that may come out of this with parents and with people and with children, hopefully over time, is that we all find a way to kind of support each other and find some more balance. And to me, what's important, and I know you do this and I do this, is that we've been able to kind of crack the code of gaining and losing. Our weight moves, but not crazy the way it did before. And you and I both, absolutely, because I see what you do and I see what you cook. We love wonderful, delicious food. We enjoy it. We enjoy a cocktail. We enjoy our wine. We enjoy life. And I think that's the part where I think a lot of people are afraid that somehow they feel that they've got to do it. And then they go and they restrict. And then the rubber band snaps. And then they go back to, like, I did crazy binge eating. Like, but your whole basis, your pillars are based upon not doing that. But it's taking you time with people to get their head to get in line with that.
That's the thing, that the retraining of the diet mentality is so pervasive for people. I have this one, I do these courses, and I'll talk about their
definitely.
We have this one module or this 1 week where we dive in on what is diet mentality, and I wrote like a worksheet for them, and it took me maybe 30 seconds to jot down 25 pervasive ways in which diet mentality that will haunt you, right? Feeling bad, saying that you were bad yesterday, and then punishing yourself and needing to eat only 500 calories today because you were bad yesterday, or saving your calories for a nighttime eating event that you do over and over and over again, or using exercise to erase your food choices, or trying to limit your eating window and saying, I'm doing intermittent fasting, but when you're intermittent fasting, eating whatever you want in the window and then starving yourself, right? So we've got all this messed up thinking around what dieting is. And I think you're hitting the nail on the head so nicely here, which is, it's time to really dig into your thoughts and feelings around this. It's all a mess, and it's all been fed to us for years. I mean, the diet industry, guys, it's horrible. When I tell you, Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz, we're finding out that Weight Watchers funded sugar research
Mhm.
because they wanted to support that sugar wasn't the reason that people were, were getting sick. Like, you don't have partners there that are telling you the truth, because if they can get you to lose the weight and then eat their food from Heinz, then they're going to make double off you, because then you're overweight and they can get you to lose the weight and then eat the food and lose the weight and eat the food. So if we don't start thinking about this differently and really dive into what the truth is, and it isn't about restricting and getting
Right.
smaller. It's about expansiveness.
Mhm.
Everything that you and I have discovered is, when I tell people I love every meal I eat. Like,
Yeah.
I literally am like, I'm gonna go downstairs and I'm gonna make this awesome lunch. And I do. I drink. I can't drink every day. I wish I could. I'll tell you. I love my cocktails. I love my wine, and I would do it every day if I could maintain my weight. I would.
Yeah.
I would be on it. But I can't. And I found out that I have a threshold of about 6 drinks in a week.
Yeah.
If I do my exercise, if I get my sleep, if I drink my water, if I do all these things, I can have about 6 drinks in a week and maintain my weight.
Yeah.
I've got ladies who can have 12 in a week. I'm not that lucky. But, finding out what your actual program and your actual formula is, rather than selling your soul to these companies that tell you what to do. I always say, for me, the diet industry is the only industry where you pay somebody money for their product, and when it doesn't work, you blame yourself.
Good point. Yeah.
Tragic.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Liz, 2 things. I want to get into your courses in a second, but one of the other things I want to make sure that we do is, we also said, in letting people know about this, that we were going to mention some of the small steps that people can take. And here's the thing. Let's mention a few of the small steps here, and then I want to talk about your courses, because talking, I love talking. You love talking. We love chatting. We love doing that. People love listening. But you and I both know listening does not make a difference. Action makes a difference. And I know that the courses that you create are based upon having people go through that. So I want you to share those in a second. But before we do that, still in the talking mode, what are some things that are like some small steps or shifts you think, from where we're moving from COVID into now? Things are starting to open up a little bit. We have to still be safe. Be safe.
Yeah.
But what are some things that you're thinking could be good advice for people as well to start thinking about?
Yeah, I think, what we've lost in COVID more than anything else is movement. We're sitting in these crazy little boxes. Now I'm up here, and sometimes it's 8 hours a day that I'm in the screen, and I can't be walking. So I think that the thing that I'm encouraging people to do right now is to really get a habitual pattern. So I do walk in the morning, and I do every night at 6 or 6:30. I take a block off my schedule and I walk again for 30 minutes to an hour. And I think it's that being outside, not being inside, really working to get your back outside. It not only has it been cold in much of the country, and we haven't been able to be outside as much, right? So your mood, your energy, your hormones, your positivity will increase if you really think about getting out and moving. We are learning that the risk of diabetes goes up by 90% if you sit for 8 or more hours a day.
Wow.
That's a huge thing. So, and I'm not talking like you've got to go buy shoes and you've got to get in a class. I think walking is the babiest of baby steps, and everyone discounts it. I always say to people, they have 100 pounds to lose them, and I'll say, if I can never get you to the exercise pillar, I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't want that, but if I can't, maybe there's an injury and I can get you walking, we can get all the way to your goals. So people diminish the power of moving our bodies. They diminish it, and they say, oh, but I only went walking for 20 minutes. I'm like, you changed your life. Like, you really just changed your life, right? And the outcome and the way you feel and the way you think. So that would be one of mine. I'd love to hear yours.
I want to hop on that, especially I'm glad it's funny because you and I talked forever, but we didn't talk about this specific part. But there's 2 things I want to be able to mention on that. On Biggest Loser, when you watch the show, if anybody watched the show and you see the Last Chance workout, that's it's real. People throwing up and doing all that crazy stuff. It's for real, but it's not what we did. Okay, that was good TV. Standing on a scale, the drama of the scale rolling, blah blah blah. It's good TV. But what we did all the time was Jillian said to us, walk to China. Our daily homework was walk to China. She just wanted us to be in a constant state of movement. Now, look, people can't do that. They have a job, they have a life to live. We had nothing else to do, so we could do that. But what I did learn out of it was that whether you're walking on flat, or if you go to the gym and you can't run and you put your treadmill up high and you go slow, it makes a difference. And the other thing is, besides, as I'm sure everybody that's followed you, I've got the 2 books. They need to get your book, both of the, well, one of the books.
Hardcover and the soft cover.
Right.
Yeah, because they're
but
in the
they
book.
need the book because they'll understand the pillars that you're talking about. And it's funny because one of my other favorite books is called The Joy of Movement. And why I love this book, it says how exercise helps us find happiness, hope, connection, and courage, is because, like what you're saying, look, if you're somebody that doesn't like exercise, like I'm wearing my Peloton shirt mainly because on Biggest Loser, there's a scene where I was like, I hate when you weigh over 400 pounds and you're sitting on a little tiny seat. It's hideous. I hated to spin. I love spinning now, but it took a while for me to love that. But the point is, if you did one thing, if you're not an exercise person, don't worry about exercise. Like what you said, stop worrying about exercise and just start moving. And I don't care what you're doing. If you like watching Netflix or whatever, and we did this on the ranch, get off your couch, even if it's for 5 minutes, and lap your coffee table while you're watching TV. It's not always just the movement. It's the breaking the mental stasis of sitting in that spot. So I think that's where, I think of all the things that we could do, the movement, I agree with you 1,000%, because it does get you mentally and physically to a new place that if you choose to do something else, you'll feel better and you'll be limber. But yeah, definitely the movement thing is powerful.
It's so powerful. I think of it every day, like, especially because we're coming out of the cold and I hate cold weather. And I am, as they say, I am you guys. Like, I am maintaining a weight loss. This is an active part of my life that I maintain my weight. Like, it's a big piece of my life. So I have to put on the boots and get myself outside and gear myself up. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it today. And I get out, and every single time I'll see the stars and I'll see the moon, and I'll with my husband, and we'll talk about something. And I come back, and it's only 15 or 20 minutes. Yeah. Come back. I've separated. That's the other thing. I've separated my work day. What I see in COVID is people are slamming. There are no what I call transitions. So they're slamming from their work day right into their family life, because all they do is walk downstairs or walk into the other room. Or maybe they're all in the same room and they've been there. And so that loss of transitions is, I used to have a beautiful train ride where I sat and I had 5 minutes to listen to a podcast and text people back and kind of transition, and then see my kids and make dinner and do all the things that I have to do. Now it's like a 12-second down the stairs and I'm all of a sudden in my family life. So I realized that my stress was so high in that slamming into another life piece. So we put that walk in. So I want you to look at those spots in your life where the walk could change would create change for you. So I do it in the morning to connect with nature for 20 minutes. I do it in the evening, at least for 20 minutes. Sometimes it ends up being an hour, depending on my day, because I work a lot. I'm like, in this new world, I'm working a lot. And if I was trying to slam from my work day into my work life and then come back up here and do a couple more hours, I'm done. I'm useless. So it's powerful.
Yeah, the interruptions are definitely helpful. My wife works from home, and she's like the toughest thing, because when she's there, literally she's what I call driving her mouse. She's driving that mouse, and she doesn't and like, Kim, you got to stop. Like, her biggest exercise is stopping from what she's doing to disengage, and then get some, and just breathe a little bit, pay attention. And that is the tough part. That they have said, the studies are showing that actually people that are working at home are working longer. And you're right, there's not this separation. You've got to find a separation from your home environment to something else. It's critical, because that's back to the stressors as well. Yeah.
When I point that out to people, when I say to them, like, you used to have an hour commute both ways.
Yeah.
What are you doing in that hour now? Reclaim the hour.
Yep.
Let yourself outside, reclaim the hour. And what they're doing is like, maybe X, Y, or Z, but they've lost it. I was like, those 2 hours of your day, you weren't home, you weren't helping a kid, you weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
We can do this if we think about it in that small way,
Yeah.
and I would also say just, we are around food a lot more than we were because we're home. They're estimating we used to be around it for about 13 hours. Now we're around it 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I think like the other tiny thing that I would tell people to do is like really organize or, like throw things away that you can't handle that are in your environment, or organize your pantry in a way that you don't see them over and over and over and have to be in contact, visually or emotionally with foods
Yeah.
that you can't handle, because it's just not natural for us to have to be in that constant state of being triggered to eat these foods.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, this, as always, I think hopefully is helpful for people because, like you said, both you and I have lived this and live this every day. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I'm excited for you to share with people right now is also you have a few different courses. So let's talk about those. So there's some things that people, beyond just hearing, they can actually engage with you and your team so that they can actually make some of these changes. So let's talk about those.
Yeah, so I actually developed these live courses. They're live with me, and they're 10 weeks long, and they're high touch, high engagement courses. I call it a course because it truly is a deep diving education. So basically in a course, there are, as I say, 10 weeks. We have 2 times, Tuesdays beginning April 6th at 8 p.m. and it'll be every Tuesday night at 8 for 10 weeks. Or Sundays at noon, starting April 11th, every Sunday at noon for 10 weeks. We have a group of people who will be together learning all the same things at the same time, which I think is really important. I took all of my background from like Weight Watchers, Lifetime Fitness, all around the world, and I looked at it and said, what doesn't work is throwing people all together into a cohort that one person is here, one person is there. So this we call it the beginner's course, and I walk you through the 6 pillars of my book and beyond, right? Into diet mentality, emotional eating, nighttime eating, and I teach from the stance always of habit formation around these habits that have plagued us for life. And when you see that they are simply habits and that we can trigger new behaviors, the courses are phenomenally successful. I can't tell you, we're just having so much fun seeing not only just the success in the weight loss piece, but the success in the broader community, because we are very high touch, right? So we're together live for an hour every single week. On top of that, everyone gets a live call with me for 30 minutes at some point during the 10 weeks to talk about their personal strategies. We have worksheets. We then have a community that is built off of an app that we use. So it's all private. It's not on Facebook. So none of your private information will be out there. It's all protected. And we dig in deep. And we all fall in love. And we just bond over the course of these 10 weeks. And I think that for people to understand, I think that's why when you and I met, we were like, oh, it's like meeting a creature in the forest that we recognize, of like, like being around people who are trying to do the same thing that you're trying to do, or have been living in the same way of like, you and I are rare in the weight loss world. People who really experience weight loss and are keeping it off actively and trying to teach that to others. Not to truly teach it from a different perspective and erase some of those thoughts. So the course itself is $499 for the 10 weeks. And, the spots go really fast. So I'd love to have anyone there that would like to join us. As I say, they're starting April 6th at 8 p.m. or April 11th at noon. And it's just an amazing experience for me and the people that we bring in.
Do you have now? I know you have the beginners course. I know there's some smaller ones that I've seen you do over time, which are introductions. But so, is there another course, or during that time, are there some smaller ones as well? That kind of, sometimes some people are still like they want like a little taste of something.
Yeah, and especially we've been doing what I call challenges.
Okay.
Running one right now that's called Get the Sugar Out Challenge. It was huge success, right? We have 150 people working together for 21 days to reduce the sugar intake in their life. And those are $19.99. There's one live webinar. Then there's this community where we're all working together. There are worksheets. I have one coming up called Conquer Gratitude, which is a challenge for 21 days. Again, because you're hearing me teach you about brain science. Gratitude is a powerful tool in the weight loss, tool belt. And so we're going to teach people, again, it's just $19.99. And she's putting the link up there for us. And we kick it off a week from Thursday. I'll do a live webinar. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but I'm guessing Gloria will help me out. It's a week from Thursday, 8 p.m. will be the live webinar. And then for 21 days, we're going to work together to, create the habit of gratitude, which then creates this serotonin flush, which sets your day up in such a different way. And then you're able to make better food choices. You're able to see past some of the negatives that start rolling for you. So that's the next challenge.
That's great. Yeah. So you've got the book. You've got the private Facebook group already, the Target 100 group. You've got the beginner's course. You have some of these little challenges as well. Is there anything else coming up in the rest of the year? Or did you want? I mean, and there's probably. Yeah. I know you're always up to something. Yeah. So, but is there anything else that you want to share in this particular call?
Yeah, no, I just think I'd love anyone who wants to know, we do stuff all the time, right? I'm doing webinars every week. I'm doing Facebook Lives, Ask Me Anythings in my private Facebook group, which is the Target 100 by Liz Joseph's group. I'm doing challenges every month. We do a new challenge. In June, we're doing a Conquer Alcohol Challenge, so that's going to be tough for me. We're not going to cut it all out, people, but we are going to challenge ourselves to put it in the space where we can still get weight loss. So we have some stuff going on every single week. We try to do a really big mix of education and free content. So my newsletter, if you go to lizjosephsberg.com, you'll get a little pop-up window. If you join my newsletter, you're going to hear about everything. And there's stuff all the time that we try to connect with people and really have this new voice around weight loss.
So primarily, as long as if they go to your website, lizjosephsberg.com, the newsletter, sign up for the newsletter, they'll stay connected. And then they can also connect to any of your social media as well. So that'll work out.
I'll find you, Liz Josephsberg, on every platform that's out there.
Okay.
I'm not so hot on the TikTok yet, but they're pressing me.
Well, there's hey, it's like anything else. There's a lot of different social media things, and some you feel more comfortable with, and some you don't. But
I love it. It's just a new one for me. It's like anything. But I'm like you, right? Doing the baby steps. I'm like, oh, what up? I did it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Very good. Well, Liz, what's great is you and I have been able to have a really great friendship. And I also love it because I know that if I have a question, I can go to you and say, Liz, what do you think about this? And the same thing back and forth. And I think that's one of the things that I really want people to take away from the conversation with you today is I know you to be somebody that they can trust. And I think my biggest advice for people is if they can move beyond being perfect and really be in a practice. And I know you're very much of that. You don't make people wrong, because any of us that have been challenged, or just human beings in general, we're masters at making ourselves wrong. So neither one of us are going to try to make people wrong. But I would say that if a person's really serious about wanting to make a change and a shift and move beyond right now where they're kind of stuck in the COVID world and they're not sure. All good people, when I say good people, I don't mean that they're bad people. I mean, all people that really want to make a change, athletes, whatever, they have a coach, they have a support system. You and I both know there's very few people that we've ever met that are good at being a lone ranger and being on their own and doing that well. So I know you are very supportive. You've got a very powerful and supportive community. And I think that if people are serious about, making a change, that they should really, take a look at what you're up to, because I know it will be a major difference in their life.
Well, thank you. That was like the best commercial ever.
Well, that's true. That's true. So, Liz, it's the third time. I'm sure we'll have a fourth time.
I know we will.
You know,
we said
because
we
you and I,
want to do this. We want to do this regularly. So
yeah, definitely. You and I are not shy about sharing, and I think that's the other part. People should share with the people that they care about, people they trust. They need to also share with others, because that is helpful as well. So.
Yeah.
On that note, I want to thank you again, Liz, for being here. And I want to thank everybody else for tuning in live. And also, if you're looking at this later, thank you for being here. And most important, if you got something from this, please share it with other people. Sharing is caring. It does make a difference. We all get something from something. And you may not realize that what Liz has shared today could be that game changer for somebody's life. So whatever you do, if this did something for you, please share with other people. Okay. Thanks, everybody. And until we meet again, enjoy your day.
Awesome.